Kat Ryalls, an artist here in the mountains of North Carolina, and I use watercolors mostly when I am hiking and taking my sketchbooks out into the field. I'll do finished paintings back in the studio, but I started using watercolors because they were so portable and so easy to use while I was traveling, while I was hiking and backpacking. And with that, I also learned that I loved adding ink to my paintings. And that was kind of a journey because as much as I've studied painting and oil painting and acrylic painting and then watercolors, diving into inks and pens and all of that with art was kind of a little bit more of a struggle for me. And it started off similarly to probably most, is you just grab whatever pen you have, and that's great. But then I found that I needed something that was waterproof, that I could use with my watercolors, whether or not I want to use it on top of or below. I didn't want it to blur or fade or disappear or ruin things. So I tried out, I think, the Faber-Castell or like all these different Fineliner pens. The ones I think I still like are like the Stettler. The black is not quite as intense as some of the others, but I feel like they last a little bit longer, which gets me to my journey into fountain pens, because I just got so tired of how quickly these dried up, specifically because I've been working on a huge project of drawings in black and white that I'm adding a little bit of watercolor back into. Let me show you. This is going to be a new Oracle deck. So I've done about 45 or 50 drawings, and this is all, I draw it in the ink and then I come in with the watercolor after. And I've done all of this just with pen, and doing that with disposable fine liners just like made no sense to me. So that's when I started diving into fountain pens. And I'm really thankful for YouTube because that's where I learned kind of where to begin. And then I still had to figure some things out on my own. What do I really like? And I also tried not to get drawn into the idea of really fancy pens. These are just practical tools. I know that there must be something really great about the fancy pens, the expensive ones, which is why I'm kind of not allowing myself to try them, because I'm concerned then these won't feel as great as they are. And they do feel like really wonderful working. I don't like that page. This is what happens. Let me show you a couple. See, I like to add little ink drawings, and I like really fine lines. So when I'm in the sketchbook, I'm going to show you which ones are my favorite for fine lines all the way up to broad. So that's what I have here. This is a roll that I made just out of some cotton, and it rolls up, and then this is what I use for the big drawings like you see. So I go from extra fine, fine, medium, bold, and then this one's extra bold. They just don't fit in the right slots. This one slides through. I guess it could fit. And I found out that the fine point of a Pilot is my absolute favorite. You can tell that I probably have a clear favorite with the Pilot Kuno. There's no frills. I put one of the Kaweco clips on this one because I was carrying it with my my journal for a while, and I'll talk to you about what I use to journal shortly. But these are great. They are really fine, and you can add a converter. So that's what I've done, is I've added the converter. I know there are some other ways of like doing the dropper or syringe and refilling things, but I've added a converter to all of them, except I've done a dropper in the Kaweco. Ooh, we've got a mess. I need to clean up my pens. They get a little bit out of disarray. But I have found the one ink that works flawlessly for me, that is not, like, I don't have to wait too long for it to become waterproof is the Platinum Carbon ink. Comes in a box like this, and I can link it below. And this is the one, it's the only one that I find. I have tried some of the other bulletproof inks, and I'm not gonna name names, but this is the only one I really can trust. The downside to it is that sometimes when it gets a little bit thick, when I'm doing my drawings, it can leave a bit of a sheen, which I don't love, but these are mostly going to be scanned in, and so it's not going to be problematic. And some of that is like the issue with tuning. I need to tune my bolds a little bit better. They've kind of been like splurting too much ink, and that's one of the things I still haven't really learned how to do that very well. But I'll show you a few more examples. I like to just do drawings, and then I like to, this one I didn't add ink to. You can kind of tell the difference between what I like adding ink. And yeah, and another thing is the paper that you work on. If you're working on a Arches cold press, it just doesn't work for me. I have to use something that's a little more tight weave and not as like bumpy. So even this is the Escher, I think they call this the cold press, but it's flat enough that I can still do my lines on here. So you need a smoother, closer to hot press paper to not have that aggravation, because those little cotton fibers will get caught up in the tines of the fountain pen kind of down here. The two things come together, and when you have like a very like porous, I don't know if that's a textured paper, it's going to start to kind of grab onto those, and then you're going to be fighting with your pen and your paper. And so I think finding the right combination of pen and paper is also important. So something that is smoother, less bumpy, less textured is going to be better for your pen and paper journey. I've found that even the Hanamule cotton paper does really well. I haven't had too many issues. I think it says it's cold pressed, but it's definitely not the texture that you're used to with something like the Arches. So do I have anything else that I've used? Lots of ink. So I've been able to get lots of ink on the page. So I know it's a good paper when I can see that like I've spent a lot of time putting ink down and I didn't get discouraged about it. So so that's that. That's with sketchbook papers. And then there are also, same thing goes for like final work. If it's a hotter press or softer press paper, it's going to be great. All right, let me entertain you. I'm going to go to a blank page here, and I'll just show you the difference in the line width, and let's talk about how scattered I sound right now. So my first favorite finest pen is, well, this isn't the finest of the fine. The finest of the fine is this, I think it's called a Quill, and this is a dip pen. So when I want to get very, very, very fine lines, this is the one that I use, and I find it to be really satisfying and really fantastic. So this is the Quill dip pen. And I find this one, maybe because it's so tiny, is the easiest one to use on the more textured papers. So there you have it. Can you see what's happening here? This is the thing you do. You kind of do like that. So I think this is it like, is it Speedball or something like that? I'm not sure. So that's the Quill dip pen, and I got it in 2 different sizes. I got this one at Cheap Joe's, and it is so affordable. So talk about affordable. You don't need to buy a converter. You do have to kind of go back and forth, but I find that it actually holds a ton of ink, so I still haven't put it back into the ink yet. let me pull you down so you can watch a little more closely, perhaps more in focus. So I still have not added ink to this, and you can just go on and on. So I find that I can do a lot of work without having to go back for more. I mean, we're still going. That's almost an entire page. It's not, but you know what I mean. I could do a whole set of rocks by this time. Maybe I should have done something more interesting to watch. Still going strong. So I think that if you were just to get one pen, this is a good option if you don't mind a dip pen. So there we go, we're out. So I did all of that with one dip, so that's pretty good. I need to clean it. Okay, this is a really fun option if you're into that. The next finest pen, I actually think this is the steal of the deal, because I'll put a link below. It comes in a 2-pack, and I think it was like $20 to $25. Also, it comes with the converter, which is, where's the converter? Maybe it's in the package. So it comes with this converter. It comes with a cartridge too, but because, like I said, I only want to be using this ink. Keep everything simple. I like too many things. It frustrates me. It's too much for my brain. So I only want to be using this ink. You could also, like, you'd have to use this up and then you can like eyedropper it in. But it comes with the converter, which usually you have to add on. So like this is a $12, $14 pen, and then you have to buy the $12 or $7 converter. So that takes the price up a little bit more. But this is the finest point, and it comes with all the pieces that you need. Of course, my cap is really messy. This is what a real world pen can look like. One of the things you just have to double check sometimes is make sure the nib is pushed back in. That's kind of one of the biggest things. If things aren't working like I'm used to, it's like I always kind of like give it a little nice little shove and make sure it's there. So this doesn't have a name. Like when you look it up online, no name, and I can't read any of this. But it's Pilot, and it's extra fine. I call this my, like, drawing pen, because you can see here how it's just, it's a really, really fine line. Now, one thing I will note, let me get out my flower book here, is that sometimes you need to be, I don't understand exactly the science of it, but like this is the fine line here on dry paper, and this is very dried watercolor, but sometimes see how the being on top of the watercolor can make it sort of feather just a little bit. Not like feather, but it does make it wider. Like it'll just absorb the ink a little bit faster when it's on top of watercolor. So you need to take that into account when you're thinking of how thick do you want your line on your drawing, because it might be a little bit thicker than this when you start drawing on top of watercolor. See how much bolder that line is when it's on the watercolor. So that's just something to take into account. This was a page I'm figuring out my next palette, which is going to be this one. Shameless plug. I make wooden watercolor palettes, and they're kind of amazing. They're my favorite thing, and maybe they'll be your favorite thing too if you're interested. There's a link to my website below. I'm adding new palettes all the time, new designs. Anyway, off topic. So that gives you just a little hint there. So this is my favorite. If you just had to buy one to have in your kit to take with you, this is the one. It comes in a 2-pack. I haven't even opened the 2nd pack. That's gonna be fun to have in the future. Okay, then we have, this is also the extra fine. So this is also a Pilot. This is the Pilot Kuno, but look at how, this one's just a little bit thicker. Like, this one is more fine than that one. And it's possible, like, just, I've got a little bit, see, it gets a little bit of fiber in the tip, and it just misbehaves. That maybe every pen is a little bit different, and this is with the platinum carbon black ink. But yeah, if you want to just go the most affordable and the finest route, it's still this one. See how the difference of the line there. But this is a great pen. I also like the Pilots, these, because they just pop off. So if, like, I just want to start drawing, I don't have to, like, twist for like a million years. There's reason for that. I mean, there's purpose to that. It keeps it from drying out. But these, I can let these sit with the platinum carbon ink for like weeks. I think they've sat for weeks and they still will write just fine. Sorry, I took a sip of tea. Yeah, I think I was worried that there would be like clogging and different things with this kind of ink, is what I heard or seen. This one I haven't used in a while, so it just needs a little bit of coaxing. Sometimes I don't know, is that proper? I lick my finger and then I swipe across the top. That's what I do when I just need it to kind of start flowing. This one might need a little bit more help, because this has been a while. I don't know when the last time I used this one was. This is real. I'm not trying to sugarcoat or give you, what's it, like a filter? Like, this is not my pen filter. This is unfiltered pen review. Pilot Fine with the platinum carbon. And this one's just going to need a little bit more kind of wet it and forget it and let it flow. So this line is a little bit thicker. Like I said, I mainly use these for my drawing, like for the illustrations, and not as much in my watercolor drawings and my watercolor sketchbooks. In my watercolor sketchbooks, I stick to extra fine, tiny fine. So the next one up is the Pilot Kuno Medium. This is the newest one to my collection because I did have, and I probably have it still. Hold on, let me see. I had a different pen in the medium slot. It was this here. And it was based on reviews I saw on YouTube that people rave about the Lamy Safari, and I'm sure she's a lovely pen for some. She writes right up. She's actually a little bit thicker line. This is the Lamy Safari. Haven't used it in probably 2 months. Medium. It writes well. Like, it really does. I just don't, like, this isn't how I grip my pen. I don't like to be forced to grip like that. I don't know. It's just not as comfortable. It doesn't have quite as much, I don't know. It just doesn't, I wasn't drawn to it. It's a great, great nib. There's probably a different design of a Lamy that I would really love. That's probably a lot more expensive, but I'm on a budget. I'm an artist on a budget. So I went for this version. I do miss this line depth. I think I would like that. So maybe I have to get a Pilot Bold. I don't know. No, I've got enough. So my next one is a Twisbee. I had a bunch of the Twisbees, and I've just gone back to just the one. They're great. They have a lot of ink capacity, but they're not my favorite of all the other pens. This one, it's just not my most favorite. So this is the Twisbee Echo with Bold. And this one can sometimes, and I think it can depend on the paper or the temperature, can sometimes be really, really wet. But right now it's behaving. Funny with the platinum carbon ink. But it's a beautiful, bold line. So it does give me more variation between here and there. Those are a little bit closer. And then this one I'm doing is an eyedropper pen. So that means I don't have a converter in it, and I just have the silicone grease in between there. And this is the Kaweco Sport, I think. Yeah, Kaweco Sport. And double bold. It's not as huge of a difference between the bold, but it is a little bit more wet, I believe. And then sometimes, especially if I'm doing like a long drawing like those others, it's just good to have a different pen to, I like to kind of put this one right in the crook. It's really tiny. It took me a long time to find a way that I'm comfortable holding the Kaweco. I don't like it posted. That's too much weight back there for me personally. Even if I take the clip off, I don't know. I like it holding it kind of like tiny like that. And I don't typically hold my pens too far down the barrel. Is that what you call it? So like this one, it does have the finger things there, but I can also hold it way back here. I don't know. I like to draw towards the end of the pen. Just like to slide back towards the end. So yeah, let's put this one down here and just see. They're so different. But this one's still my winner. Now, these are the pens that I really use. I have tried out the Platinum Preppy, and I tried out this one, the Preppin' Up. It came in a pack of 3. I don't like the other design of the other one, so I did look for the kind of plain white one. This one doesn't have as much flow as I'd like it to have. The other one did have more flow, and I don't know where it went. Where has she gone? Well, yeah. So it's not like my favorite, and I don't use it for my drawings. I do like it though. If this one was working better, I'd be singing its praises a little bit more. I think it's just it might be a new filter, and it's got the carbon black ink. It came with I'm pretty sure it came with carbon black. No, maybe. Yeah, it might have. I think it did. And yeah, I actually use this one in my planner. So I get a nice dark line. Well, in theory. I don't know. Maybe this just doesn't like the cotton paper. I haven't used it on cotton paper. This is what I'm drawing on right now. The Honolulu cotton paper book. So some of them just don't like cotton paper as much. Let me compare it to, this is my pretty journal. This is what I write in every single day. This is the pen that I use to write in it. This is a Cork cover by the amazing Documented Journey. She makes these are beautiful. And I got this pattern pocket on the front. It might be discontinued. And this is the wheat that has this beautiful, beautiful texture. And it's a folio. I've got her stickers up here. And she uses like an eco-friendly felt lining. I think it's from recycled bottles. I did a drawing. And this is the Cafe Notes. This is a B6 Slim. And see more of her stickers. And this is what I use for journaling. And I think I've got, we can test a pen. This is the Platinum Preppin' Up here. See, look at that. It just goes. It just doesn't like the cotton paper as much. So there we go. We have tested it and we have discovered paper matters. And yeah, so like this is going to be even more fine on this paper. This is the Pilot. compared to this extra fine pilot. See the two pilots? See, that's just a little bit more wet. The Kuno. And let's do the whole line of them. Still trying to get this one to flow. Fine. It might be, let's see, browning. I've just made a mess of my hands today. Oh, she's dried up. That's what's happened. I need to refill it. Do you want to see how I refill my pens? Is that exciting or not? There are other people that refill pens too. I guess I could. I don't know. We don't need to spend all day here. It's getting long. Pilot medium. And so on and so forth. Okay, so the pen that I use in my journal is the Kaweco Sport, but it's the collection. It's the really pretty olive green one with the gold nib. And this, I'm also using an ink that Bree sent me. This is an extra fine nib that I'm excited about because it's the platinum carbon, but I can't remember, it's some sort of green, maybe a green and black. So it's also waterproof. So I found out I don't like using inks that are not waterproof. There are tons and tons of videos out there of beautiful, beautiful inks and colors and variety and all sorts of fun things. But if you are coming to see a video of fun color swatching, this is not it, because this is as far as I really like to stray. This is a Zebra Sarasa. So if I just need like a pen, that's what I'll use those, and they come in colors. But the last of the, no, I've got two more to share with you. So this is the Sailor Compass something or another. And I don't know what I have in here. I think I did like a mixture of the green and the black. This is a cheaper pen. I think it was around maybe $30, but it came with a converter, which was awesome. And it came with an ink. So I like that it came with a converter. I think I need to use this up, and then I'll put the platinum carbon black ink in it. And then I'm going to find out like where I really like to use it. So I've been using it some in my journal. And I think I like to draw with it. It's really comfortable. There's nothing about it that feels uncomfortable to me. So I like that it's kind of shorter. I don't like to post pens. Just too heavy. I've got little hands. They get cramped up. So I like something I can just like really, really lightly hold. Don't have to really grip on too hard, and then just kind of draw with. So I do like this one. I just am waiting to finish up that ink that I put in there. I was trying to be creative, but guess what? With color, I was trying to be a little bit more outside of the box. But no, I'd like to go back in the box with my ink. That's what I've decided. I just want to go back into the little black box, and that's where I'm going to stay. This is also a really fun pen. I forget who makes it. I don't remember. Should I tell you about it? But it's a refillable felt tip pen. So you put your own ink in it. So this is the felt tip pen. It might be by, I don't know. It was a gift. So another gift from Documented Journey, but I put the platinum carbon ink in it. And it's just fun to write with. It just is really fun. Like, I miss a felt tip pen, and this is really fun. And now it's got permanent black ink in it, and it's been in there for a couple months now, and she's still good to go. And if I want to, I've already tried to see if I can pull this off and refill it, and I can. It just sort of ate up the back part a little bit with my pliers. But yeah, and in comparison, here's the Staedtler pigment liner. So I will say I'm going to be traveling in next month, and flying, and I am not confident flying with fountain pens. I know there are tips and tricks that people use for that. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be taking my pigment liners. This is the 0.3, and looking at this, I'm probably going to try to make sure I have a 0.1, which I prefer in my little sketchbook drawing. So I will have a ink that I can use. I will sadly be leaving behind my fountain pens for that, but I don't want them to kind of like explode and things to get messy. I don't know. Even if I take them up in the cabin when I fly, I've still found like I have a few issues. Things are still changing a little bit much there for me. So that I think that completes the tour. What are your thoughts? What are your favorite pens? I know I don't have the fanciest of pens, and I don't want to be tempted to buy new ones, because that can be a whole thing too. I was going to go over pencils, but let's save that for another day. Yeah, we're going to save that for another day. So this is my pen collection. These are all the pens I have tried. I've actually tried some others and already rehomed them. But for me, the keys are keeping my ink simple and reliable. So this is simple and reliable. Keeping just, my pens are very standard. Just no frills. I'm a no frills girl. I apologize if you came for something more exciting, but this is what I found in terms of tools to create art and work with on art paper and cotton paper and all of that stuff. This is what works for me. I'd love to hear what works for you. I'm sure you've got lots of things. I might be tempted once I hear from you, but I'm gonna try to stick to these and be on like a no spend, no buy. But I'll put links in the description. I'm so thankful for y'all to watch and hear all of my little blabbings on. And yeah, I'm just an artist here in the mountains, and I love sharing ideas and tips and tricks and things that have worked for me. I have a sketchbook online class, and I have an online shop. So if you want to head over there, feel free, but no pressure at all. I also have a Patreon where I send happy mail once a month with like a sticker, and I like, here's an example of one of the stickers I have sent. It's from one of my illustrations. I'm also an Oracle deck creator. I've got the Roots and Wings Oracle deck. It's still in the shop. I still have some left, and I'm working on this new deck now that I'm really excited about. So yeah, feel free to learn a little bit more about my work or not, and subscribe and like or comment, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.